guys, welcome back to the show. This is going to be an exciting episode that you don't want to miss. Today, I'm going to drop some knowledge on the basics of role play. Now, before we get started, do y'all like my new look? I decided to switch it up this week since a friend of mine decided to clown me for embracing my natural hair since I began podcasting on YouTube. But don't worry, we're gonna have some fun and turn up. So y'all ready? Okay, now, before we dig deeper, we're gonna take baby steps and learn the ABCs, aka general role play terms in acting. So, what exactly does role play mean? It is the act of imitating a character and behavior of someone who is different than yourself. Think of it as your alter ego. Role play mostly involves two people who act out how a conversation would or should look and sound among actual people in an actual situation. A great example of role play would be doing the improv technique. You can refer to my demo reel that I uploaded when I first began recording on YouTube back in March for this example. Here are some general terms that you will hear about different roles on camera. Number 1, background or extra, which is a non-speaking role. Number 2, day player, which is a performer who is hired on a daily basis instead of a long-term contract. Number 3, a lead, which is the main character in the production. Number 4, a photo double, who is an actor that resembles another actor on camera and typically used in place of the original actor. Number 5, a stand-in, which is pretty much like another background extra who was a substitute for the principal actor. Number 6, a stunt person. Basically, it's a trained performer who does stunts on camera, like stunt double, for example. Number 7, supporting role. It's basically a actor who has a speaking role that is less than a lead actor, but larger than a bit part. Number 8, bit parts, which is a role where there is direct interaction with the principal actors, but no more than 5 lines of a dialogue. Number 9, understudy, which is a performer hired to do a role only if the featured actor is unable to perform. They're used primarily in theater. Now, we're going to get to the good part, which is the pay. People ask me all the time, do you get paid a lot for acting gigs? Well, sadly, the answer is no. It just depends on the project and the size of the budget for production. Day players and background actors or extras usually get between $100 to $300 per day if they sign up to audition for a TV show, commercial, or film. Supporting actors and lead actors typically make between $3,000 to $5,000 or more if they are weekly performers, depending on a contract basis. Now, for the lead actors, they can definitely make bank if they have a major role in a feature film that's shown in theaters, or if they're on a large-scale contract under the SAG-AFTRA, which stands for Screen Actors Guild, American Federation of Television and Radio Artists. I'll touch base on the importance of SAG later on. Get your pen and paper out, because we got a lot of work to do. But I'm going to keep this as simple as possible. When you decide you're ready to role play, you must prepare for difficult conversations and situations. What do I mean by that? Well, you gotta learn the 4 stages of role playing. The first stage is to identify the situation. The second stage is to add the details. The third stage is to assign roles. And the fourth stage is to act out the scenario. To start the process, you want to encourage an open discussion to uncover all of the relevant issues. If you're in a group and people are unfamiliar with each other, consider doing some icebreaker exercises. Next, you want to set up the scenario in enough detail to make it feel like a real situation. You have to make sure that everyone is clear about the problem that you're trying to work through so that they know what you want to achieve by the end of the session. Once you've set the scene, you must identify the various fictional characters involved in the scenario. Some people may be the ones who have to deal with the situation when it actually happens. Others will represent people who are supportive or hostile, depending on the scenario. For example, an angry client. Once everyone decides who their character will be, then they must use their imaginations to put themselves inside of the minds of the people that they are representing. It is very, very important. This usually involves trying to understand their perspectives, goals, motivations, and feelings. Once each person assumes their role, they begin to act out the situation by trying different approaches where necessary. Now, the scenario can be pretty intense. For example, if the aim of your role play is to practice a sales meeting, then the person playing the role of the potential client could start as an ideal client, but then later become a hostile and difficult person as you go through a series of scenarios. That's when you test and practice different approaches for handling situations so that you give participants experience in handling them. For the final step, you want to discuss what you've learned so that you or the people involved can learn from the experience. Think of it as reflecting on what you can improve on and the things you can use for future reference, kind of like a critique or evaluation of how you perform. It's almost like you're at work on a 9-to-5 where the supervisor or manager conducts your 6-month evaluation after 90 days of work have been completed to evaluate how your performance was on the job. I know all of this fancy talk about role play may seem overwhelming to learn, but it's really not that bad if you practice. Some people may feel threatened or nervous when asked to role play because it involves acting. I mean, I get it. I used to be that guy who was very timid, quiet, and sheltered my whole entire life, which probably explains why I can't find a man till this day, and it's quite sad. I might need a life coach or something. I don't know. But anyway, back to the lesson. Some tips that may help you prepare for role play is reading off the script. Another technique for getting comfortable is to allow others to coach you during a demonstration. For me, personally, I find it easier to take an acting class or workshop event to help myself prepare for role play and improve my chances on nailing an audition. You know, what's funny is that I've had at least 3 or 4 virtual auditions or self-tapes, but never received a callback or got selected. It's not an easy process, even if you're a seasoned actor. Nowadays, going for an audition or over Zoom or submitting a self-tape is like going on a blind date, literally. You don't know what to expect as far as what the casting director is looking for. When I studied at Improv Dallas under my acting coach, it was very difficult to go with the flow and ramble something off the top of my head for a scenario in a group session. Now, don't get me wrong, it's fun when you act out on a role play, but it also makes you frustrated when you can't grab the attention of the audience. Back in the day in high school, long time ago, I performed my very first role play in Romeo and Juliet during my drama theater class. It was an absolute nightmare. I felt embarrassed and I didn't have any type of support since my parents didn't show up. So you can imagine how frustrated I already felt. I mean, wouldn't you be frustrated? Now, don't get me wrong, but my parents are good people. I love them. However, they just never made time to show up and support my activities since they constantly worked every day. You know, I feel very blessed to have very fortunate parents who work very, very hard. Hopefully, they won't be mad at me for saying that, but I'm just being honest, and nobody is perfect in this world. Anywho, that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and y'all enjoy your weekend. Take care.